Hi, this is Alonzo Bodden. I want to welcome you to episode 347 of my podcast, Who's Paying Attention? I'm going old school. It is just you guys and me on this one. I was supposed to be in studio with my friend Greg Proops. If you don't know Greg Proops, you should. Incredibly funny. He used to be on Whose Line Is It Anyway when it was on TV. And he has a podcast, The Smartest Man in the World. And he might be. I love Greg, but unfortunately, he had some things come up, so he couldn't make the podcast. So you got me. And that's cool. You know, I wish Greg was here because I was so looking forward to talking to him about any and everything. He really is. I love his opinions. They're well formed. They're well thought out. I joke with him that he arguably is the smartest guy in the world. Definitely one of the smartest guys I know. So Greg will be on a future podcast, I promise. But in the meantime, as I said, you've got me. You know, it's really been, and that little noise you hear in the back is I'm at the home office. So, of course, Hulk is having a chew behind me. So you hear a little bit of that. It has really been bothering me this week that the Republicans support Putin over Biden. Listen, I get it. Politics, whatever, you know, the falling in line. They're not going to support anything Biden does, you know, that blame him for everything and all. That's all fine. That's all politics. But to support a foreign leader, particularly the leader of Russia, over the president of the United States is, you know, you can use words like treasonous and all that, but it's just, I don't know. It's beyond anything I can imagine. You know, these are the same people who worship Reagan, okay? And I don't know how old you are and if you are around in the 80s during the Cold War with Russia and when the wall came down in Berlin and they celebrated and they worshiped Reagan. And this was the victory of the United States, the victory of America in the Cold War. And for these same people, this same party, and let me tell you, a lot of these politicians, I know they were around. Okay, they were old enough to know Ted Cruz or McConnell or whatever. And I don't want to hear anything about some Republicans support it, some don't. This is your party, led by, of course, Donald Trump, who still worships Putin, who called Putin a genius for Putin saying that Ukraine is an independent state and this isn't a war. This isn't taking over. This is peacekeeping, and how he wished he could do that here in the United States. And he admires Putin's force. I've never seen so many tanks. It's like a little kid. Look how many tanks he has. Look at all the guns. It's, I don't know. Again, beyond anything that it defies explanation. It defies explanation because now you're actually putting the leader of a foreign country, the foreign country's interests above those of the United States. And I don't want to hear any of this crap about, you know, Obama and this and that. No, I don't know of any time that American citizens supported the leader of another country over the president of the United States. Now, we have at times supported leaders of other countries that may not be popular in the United States, you know, whether it be Saudi Arabia or other countries in the Middle East and things like that, you know, support of Israel, which some people agree with, some don't. And this is a completely different thing. This is Russia, okay? This is our enemy through the Cold War. This is a communist country. This is a country run by a dictator. You know, Putin is not a president. You're not a president when no one's allowed to run against you. That's a dictator. And everyone knows Putin's a dictator. Everyone in the world knows Putin's a dictator. And he's taking over another country. And they're saying, well, you know, Ukraine shouldn't be joining NATO. That's making him mad. What I've read is a lot of this has to do with energy and fuel and gasoline. Russia is a huge exporter of fuel, and they want to control Ukraine and control that. But regardless of the reasoning, supporting the leader of another country over the United States just because the president of the United States is a Democrat and you're a Republican, just wrong. It's bullshit. It's wrong. And the Republican Party, if there's any doubt of it belonging to Trump, if there's any doubt of Fox News merely being a propaganda network, this is your proof. Okay, Tucker Carlson and Donald Trump love Putin. They show Tucker Carlson's news in Russia. They show it there. That's how big a proponent he is. This is horrible. This is treasonous, disgusting, and business as usual. And that is the frustration. This is business as usual for the Republican Party of today. As I've talked about before, Michael Steele, who I've met and talked through podcasts and interviews, will talk about this is not the Republican Party. It's not the Republican Party Michael Steele had. It's not the Republican Party of Reagan. It is the Republican Party of today. The Supreme Court, just as bad. The Supreme Court, who's supposed to be the umpire, supposed to be the ref, supposed to be neutral, supposed to look at laws and interpret those laws as to whether or not they're constitutional, as to whether or not they're fair. The Supreme Court, the courts are supposed to protect people. Well, they're not. This Supreme Court, they've taken on a mission of we're going to take rights away from people. And we saw it a couple of weeks ago. Well, most of us saw it. A lot of us were just worried about Joe Rogan. But with the Alabama and the changing of voting districts and all of that nonsense, we saw that happen. Well, now they're going after the LGBTQ community and any other community that people want to discriminate against under the guise of, quote, religion. So we all know the story of the bakery that didn't want to bake a cake for a gay couple's wedding. Well, there's another case coming up, okay, and that case was settled, but that case didn't settle the question of can you discriminate based on religion, because baking a cake, the question arises, is baking a cake free speech or is it art? And those are two different things. Well, now there's a case coming up that it is free speech. There is a firm in Colorado, and they haven't even gone to work yet. This is what's crazy. They haven't even gone to work yet. But what they want to do is they want to create wedding websites. And, excuse me, it's a Colorado case, okay? A graphic designer in Colorado, Lori Smith, says she refuses to create websites for same-sex couples. Now, they haven't been asked. Smith hasn't, and her company hasn't been asked to do it. But in advance, she's saying she's not going to do it. And in advance, and it gets into a lot of legal stuff, but she's saying that Colorado suing her, or Colorado, state laws of Colorado making it illegal for her to say no to same-sex couples. She's basically going to court in advance saying that tramples on my free speech. And now the court is going to take this case. And when the court takes this case, and you have a vast majority conservative court that doesn't like the LGBTQ community and pretends to be religious, they're very religious, unless Jesus actually came back, then we'd have a problem. But they're taking up the case, and they're looking at allowing this. They're looking at allowing this religious exemption, okay, because the Supreme Court, there are religious exemptions to freedom of speech, but it's a tough one. It's a tough one. But this one, it's free speech with free exercise grafted on, and whew. So what they're saying is that, you know, if they win this website designer, then they're saying, and sorry for me hesitating, but I want to get this right. They're saying that all these people, the bakers, florists, photographer, jeweler, hairstylist, etc., they call themselves artists. They say they speak through their work. And they can all turn away clients who ask them to, quote, communicate messages they dislike. Okay, so... yeah. So this could affect them on any grounds, and not just same-sex marriages, but on any grounds. This is going to give people, companies, etc. It's like the Hobby Lobby thing with not providing contraceptive care because it's against their religion and so on. This is bad, people. This is bad. We're moving backwards. People are losing right. And again, this is the right wing. And yeah, I'm a left wing guy. I had another post this week that this guy said, you used to be funny until Trump. Yeah, that's when I gave it up. That's when I something. That's when we all stopped laughing, because that's when shit like this started happening. Okay. We're talking about taking away the rights of people. The Constitution was never designed to take away rights from people. It was designed to give rights to people, to protect people's rights. And this is the same group of people that's always yelling about freedom, freedom, freedom. And now they want to take away people's freedom. And, based on your sexual orientation or your religion or your race or anything that makes you different from what they approve of, they want to take away your rights. This is bad, people. This is bad, and this is happening. Okay, don't pretend it's not happening. It is happening. And speaking of Trump and the Trump era, and I've said this repeatedly, all his talk and yelling and stupidity and all that nobody cares about that. Not the people behind him. The people behind him, they wanted stuff like this to happen. This is what they want. They were like, put the buffoon up there and then let him put on his show and steal his money with his family's companies. We don't care about that. We want to fundamentally change this country, and we want to change this country in a way that it's going to remain this white country that we love for a long time. And they got it with this Supreme Court. Case by case, the Supreme Court is destroying the, quote, freedoms that people have. I shouldn't say, quote, no, they're controlling the actual freedom people had for the, quote, freedom. Okay. The founding fathers, the writers of the Constitution, etc., when they said freedom, they didn't mean, oh, that means you're free to discriminate against anyone you don't like. But that's what it's turning into. Let's talk prices, people. Let's talk money, the price of gas. It's ridiculous. Here in California, gas is $5 a gallon. The rest of the country's complaining at $3.50. Welcome to our world. But when you get to $5 a gallon, we'll be at $7 a gallon, maybe more than that. And that's a reality. The price of everything is going up. It sucks for Biden because he's getting blamed for it. But what about this transportation thing? What about the supply chain? We hear about the supply chain and people endorse stopping the supply chain with this stupid trucker convoy. Listen, even California took away the mask mandate. Where are you going with your trucks? What are you mad about? Shut up. But anyway, sorry, that's my phone going off. They're playing their games and all of that. So let's talk about the price of goods and how much it costs to get you the goods. Because what's going on, the container companies, and make no mistake, there aren't a lot of container companies. And when I say container companies, I mean the companies that own those giant ships that are lined up. We've all seen pictures of them. The giant ships are backed up, and the goods on them are backed up, and we hear about the supply chain, and these things aren't coming in. Well, guess what? This is costing a lot of money, and this is costing everyone a lot of money. Now, there's basically 3 companies that handle this shipping around the world, okay? Because they're big, they own the ships, the containers, et cetera, et cetera. This is how much money they're making, okay? This is how much money. Now, Contracts with carriers to transport goods are about twice as much as they were in 2020. See what happened in 2020, things stopped shipping for a while. Demand dropped off. These companies lost a little bit. They lost money for a little while. Well, Maersk, which is based in Denmark, their earnings in 2021, $24 billion. That's triple what they made in 2020. Costco shipping, not Costco, Costco, C-O-S. $14 billion in annual profits. That's 9 times the 2020 earnings. Okay. And then Hapag-Lloyd, a German company, quadrupled their profits at $12.8 billion. And they're going up. They're going up. Okay. These transportation costs, of course, get passed on to the consumer. Inflation's going to keep going up. The carriers are hitting them with fees. They're getting fees for being unable to return the cargo containers, but they can't return the cargo containers because the ships can't get in. So what happens is the ship comes in. We've seen the pictures of how the docks work. They unload these big containers. The containers are full with anything. Could be cars, could be mattresses, could be furniture, whatever's in it. Right? That gets delivered and all of that. Now you got the empty container. Now the shipping company is charging you because they're not getting that empty container back. But you can't get that empty container back because there's not a ship to put it back on. What's funny to me about it is this is the kind of shit that they do to people all the time, right? These companies, they'll charge you extra fees for nonsense all the time. Well, they're getting charged fees for nonsense. They're getting charged fees for things that are not their own fault. How familiar does that sound? Getting charged a fee for something that's not your fault. We've all dealt with that as consumers. And of course, they're passing it on. And ultimately, it comes down to us. Congress is trying to do the Ocean Shipper Reform Act. Don't worry, that'll go away because these shipping companies will easily buy some congressmen to make sure they can keep making money. Some of these companies I read that they made more profit this year than they have in the last 10. Okay. The World Shipping Council, their federal lobbying money went up 150%. Of course it did. Of course it did. You're making more money. You have more money. You buy more congressmen. My point being that all of this shit, this is why prices are going up. Everything's being shipped now. You know, when you buy something, you go to Amazon, you have it shipped, or you go to whatever website, you have it shipped. It's got to be shipped in from China. The cars are backlogged, etc. Car dealers are ripping people off. Just everything is selling above sticker and all of that. Well, they've got us. They got us. These shipping companies they handle the supply. Right. And this is what's going on. So, again, it's unfortunate that it's happening under Biden. He will be blamed for it. The Democrats will probably lose as a result of this, even though it's not really their fault. Right. This is just the way it is. This is timing. But timing sucks. Timing sucks. And it is what's happening. So prices are going to keep going up. Things are going to get more expensive. They're saying maybe in the second half of this year, prices will start coming down. Amy Klobuchar, senator from Minnesota, is trying to do some anti-monopoly bills against these 3 companies. But listen, how do you stop them? They own the ships and they own the containers. So how do you stop that? What do you do? You can write all the legislation you want. You can't make ships come out of nowhere. It takes years to build ships. You know how much money you have to build ships? It's insane. It's insane. No, they got this. They got this, and they are going to be ramming this and screwing us with this, and prices are going to be going up for a while to come. They're saying prices may come down in the second half of 2022. I know the Democrats are praying prices come down in the second half of 2022 because right now things are expensive, and it hurts, and a lot of things you can't get. So it's a good time for the truckers to stop driving trucks because, you know, they don't want to get a vaccine. I don't know. I was thinking about my podcast, and I do like doing it, and I like talking to people. I don't know that you guys need me to talk about these stories. I don't know that you need my opinion on these stories. This is stuff you already know. Sometimes it may be stuff you don't know, but I think most of it is stuff you do know. And you don't need one more source telling you how bad everything is. So I'm going to try to do, like I said, when I have guests on, I ask them for some good news. Give us something good. As I'm doing this, I don't want to just be another reporter, okay? So I'm going to look for something. I got to change this up. I honestly have to change this up, and I will work on that. I will try to put in more. I don't want to do entertainment. I don't know if I want to do funny. I got to figure it out. I so appreciate you guys' support. My listeners are going up. My followers on Instagram and Twitter, those numbers are going up. I appreciate it. You guys are coming out to shows. I did a show in a little town called Winchester, California, outside of Temecula. There were people there who had heard about it on the podcast. I love when that happens. I appreciate it. The theater was crazy. It was this little storefront that was converted to a theater. It's the first time I sold out because they ran out of chairs. Never had that happen before. And the comical thing was when we were backstage in the, quote, green room, which is the curtain over the back half of the room, we saw flyers for the militia meeting that had been held there in January. So I'm kind of glad the militia didn't know that I had dropped in, but it is what it is. Speaking of inflation, I'm going to wrap up my inflation talk with this one because this one is crazy. It is cheaper, okay? It is cheaper to fly to Paris and go to Disneyland there than to go to Disneyland here in Anaheim in Southern California, the original Disneyland. That's how much Disneyland has raised the prices, okay? In June 2022, which would be this summer, it would cost $4,571 for two people to stay at the Paradise Pier Hotel, the cheapest Disney hotel, for 6 nights with 5 days of park tickets included. Disneyland Paris, you can stay on property at the Hotel Santa Fe for $2,173. That's for 7 days, including park tickets. And then the flight from LA costs $1,456. So it comes out to a grand total of $3,676. So if you want to take your significant other to Disneyland, you can save $895 by taking them to Disneyland in Paris. Fellas, you want to score some points? Take her to Disneyland in Paris. It's crazy out here. That is, man. I can drive to Anaheim, but I'd rather fly to Paris. I guess that's where we're at now, people. Things is tough all over, as they used to say. The Olympics have wrapped up, the Winter Olympics. I always have fun with the Winter Olympics, but I think this is a little cool tidbit. Elena Myers is the most decorated black athlete in Winter Olympics history. Elena won a bronze medal in the 2-woman bobsled, and that's her 5th. Okay, Shawnee Davis, the speed skater, had 4. Elena now has 5. And I joke about the bobsled, but I got to do a bobsled run in Park City. It was very cool, very cool. I love doing things like that. If you ever get a chance, I say do it. If you get a chance to do something like that, when else you're going to get a chance? You got to do it. So good for her. The Winter Olympics, very low rated on TV, did not do well. It was a weird Olympics, but I hope the Olympics bounce back. It's something I enjoy. I've been lucky enough to go to a couple of them, and one winter and one summer. Great experiences. So I hope it bounces back. But you know what? Don't go to the Olympics. Go to Disneyland in Paris because it's cheaper. I love that. That's the good news this week. I am not going to add the interview. I'm going to keep this one short. This podcast is going to be short. We're going to keep it tight. Next week, I'm going to go back to an interview. I'll be back in studio, and we'll see. We'll see where this goes. I got to change it up, people. I love you guys, and I appreciate you. And you don't just need more news every week, do you? Let me know. A lot of comments come in on YouTube. Let me know. Do you enjoy the podcast? Do you have an idea of something I could do? Don't tell me to start doing right-wing stuff and all of that. That ain't going to happen, okay? Yes, I'm still going to talk about race. I didn't talk about it this week because it becomes repetitive. But yes, this week we had another case. A lot of stuff going on in Colorado. What the hell is with Colorado? Maybe Lauren Boebert isn't crazy. Maybe she's just Colorado. Douglas County, Colorado, the very wealthy white county, took over the school board, fired the superintendent of schools, even though he was very popular and doing a great job. Why? Because they're afraid of, quote, critical race theory. Yeah, the truth is coming to get you. So let's get rid of this black superintendent. Let's tell the teachers what they can teach. And there's a backlash. People are fighting back on these school boards, but it's rich, it's white, they have the money. They held secret meetings before they even got on the school board. Then they went and got the school board seats and they fired the superintendent, and they don't want any teaching about race or sexual alternative lifestyles. I'm going to use that term. I don't mean it to be negative in any way. Like I said, live your life. Your sex life is your business. It should be, but apparently, according to this county in Colorado, from a rich white county in Colorado all the way up to the Supreme Court, they're saying no. And Florida is trying to pass this don't say gay thing, so you can't teach anything that has a word gay in it or any kind of sexual orientation. It's, man, freedom. Freedom. I hope we're not sitting around saying, I remember freedom. But when the Republican Party, half of the country, is supporting a Russian dictator, maybe freedom is something we need to look at. Thank you, guys. Who's paying attention? You are. You absolutely do, and I appreciate it. I'm going back to Denver this weekend. I'm doing Comedy Works South. I haven't been to Comedy Works in Denver in a long time, so I'm looking forward to that. Stay safe, stay warm wherever you are. Try to find something to laugh at. Smile every day. If you really don't know what to do to feel better, get a dog. I highly recommend that. I got a tough call to make. A friend of mine's son is getting bullied, and he's 9 years old, and she wants me to talk to him about that, and I look forward to it. Looking back, I was bullied. We didn't call it that back then, but I was. But what I want to teach him, what I think the good thing to teach a kid is, listen, whatever makes you different, whatever they don't like about you that makes you different is going to be so valuable in your adulthood. Any kid listening, be who you are, be individual, be different. Okay? You're a nerd. Yeah, so was Barack Obama. Whatever you like, be true to yourself. I wish someone had taught me more about that when I was a kid. It's worked out for me. Life's been good, but there's some lessons I definitely would have learned. So I'm going to try to share that with this kid, and he's going to be all right. His mom is fantastic. She's a friend of mine, been a friend a long time, and I get to talk to her son now and then. Wow. Bullies from elementary schools to Putin. Bullies still assholes. So I'm going to talk to this kid and do what I can. I'm talking to you and doing what I can. I appreciate you. Talk back to me. Tell me what to do with the podcast. Give me some ideas. I'm going to give you one more bit of good news, and this is just damn fun. There's a new book out. It's called Eating Salad Drunk by Gabe Henry. And what this book is, it's a bunch of haikus written by comedians and a full range of comedians, from me to Roy Wood Jr. to Jerry Seinfeld to Janine Garofalo to Maria Bamford to just tons of comics, Sashir Zamata, everybody's involved. We had so much fun contributing to this, and he put it all together, and they're just really funny haikus, and it won't take you long to read, and it's a great break from reality. So take a minute and buy Eating Salad Drunk, Haikus for the Burnout Age. All right. We're here for you. Who's paying attention? You are. I thank you guys so much for listening and supporting my podcast. Again, take care, stay safe, and do what you can to keep laughing.